and Swata on the Bodvar, the more notable characters of these players. I'm so stoked for this. It's gonna be dope.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I don't want my dog going absolutely insane in the background. But yeah, I think what's interesting is seeing Swata on this Bodvar, because, I mean, a lot of players with this most recent patch and the nerf that Hammer's taken sort of swapped off that Bodvar, like Java, for example. We saw Luna swap off that Terrorist, but Swata is definitely sticking with it, and I think that's definitely respectable. It's also a testament to how tried and true he is on that Bodvar, right? Donnie has stuck with the Asuri for a very long while, a pick that we don't see as much of in NA and partially in Europe, and so I think it's definitely interesting seeing these two picks, because they're sort of, I don't know, they're less common now than they have been previous.
Yeah, I agree, and I think a lot of North American players as well have chose Bodvar in the past and kind of avoided it a little bit. But I know a lot of EU players, especially, of course, as of now, are still maining the character, and we're seeing dummy on the Asuri, and we don't see a lot of Asuri when it comes down to gameplay wise in most regions, right? We're not used to seeing these, or usually it's used for the sword more so than guitar. So I like seeing the guitar aspect kind of brought into 1v1s a lot more in these events, especially after most recent patches where it's not, you know. But right now dummy comes in that sword side signature, and that also can go off a platform as well, so we might see dummy come in on that platform, go with that offense side signature for some knockouts, because a lot of players have some difficulty against it.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, dummy taking fast stock is a big deal, right? I mean, that like said, placed perfectly for Swata, but, you know, I think a lot of people seeing dummy being an Australian player who, like I said, a lot of people sort of shut out Australia as a region and think that it's a bit sort of lower in comparison to other regions, but dummy is keeping Swata on his toes right now, and I mean, actually, damage leader is in favor of dummy. Dummy took first stock, and Swata is consistently playing catch-up right now.
Yeah, absolutely, and I think this goes to show, I mean, Dummy's guitar and sword gameplay is pretty decently good, and right now Dummy has a half stock lead over Swata. Now Swata's starting to try to bring that back a little bit. It's more in the movement of Swata at the moment, but I think as Dummy starts going in with his guitars, gets these guitar combos, it might be a better option. But I want to see that neutral sig come out at one point or another.
Yeah, absolutely, and I mean, we did see it get thrown out. It didn't actually connect, but you know, the hope is there. It's not off the table. D-Light Ser connects. Swata just about living, but one more will certainly be enough to knock out his second stock. He has the hammer in hand, a very heavy hitting weapon. If he can find a D-Light Ser or any kind of a combo on that hammer, it's going to be very, very good for him. But right now, Dummy keeping him on his toes, keeping him on the back foot off the side of the stage. Ser to get back into the weapon, which doesn't connect. D-Light recovery out of Dummy, and Swata is taken off that second stock already, and Dummy still holding on to this minor lead.
Yeah, and this is huge to think about. I don't think anyone would have expected it to be this close in game one. Usually you would think, oh, okay, maybe Dummy from Australia would have to adapt a little bit more against Swata. But right now it's very, very close to round one. It makes high hopes of a game 5, and Swata comes in with a sword recovery, and it's one stock all in round one. This is only round one here? My lord.
Yeah, this is absolutely crazy, and I mean, I honestly couldn't tell you who's winning this game, and it's definitely going to sort of, like I said, set the pace for the set. But right now, Dummy has Swata in that yellow. Swata yet to get much damage on Dummy whatsoever. Has that hammer in hand, which he's definitely been struggling with once Dummy's on that sword. Dummy has really, really good spacing around Swata right here, and Swata's really struggling to find responses right now until that sword for the mirror match. But Dummy finds the end sig, and that's actually going to do it. Dummy annihilating that final stock of Swata and taking game 1 over PR1 in Europe. 1v1s, man.
Oh my god, that's huge. And that neutral sig had so much force with it, with the Asuri. And that's what I was talking about. I was waiting for the neutral signature to come out, whether it be sword or whether it be guitars, man. And holy crap. But now we got Swata swapping off the Bodvar, going over to the Akuma Val crossover, which is going to be very dope as we get into round number 2 on Apocalypse, man. But I mean, realistically, we were talking about last round being so close, but as we got into these final stocks, Dummy really showed when there's a lot of pressure on them, they can put their entire mental in gameplay to the tasks there. And I mean, just really control it. Swata had a hard time landing any type of combos. They were going for combos more so than what Dummy was doing, which is more free roaming attacks. and they were landing. But as we're going into this, Swata's going crazy with this gauntlet so far.
Yeah, we've been seeing Swata playing Akuma, especially in that 2 space with Godly post Hammer nerf, and I think this isn't a huge surprise because like I said, a lot of Hammer players have been struggling with that weapon since the nerf, and so I think a Val pick is definitely not strange. Funnily enough, Swata does have the exact same 2 mains that I do, and so I get it, man. I do get it.
Yeah, it's just so dope to watch right now. It's very, very close. Swata almost had gotten a knockout option by Dummy, but Dummy comes with a sword combo there on the Swata. And look how close this is. We're a minute in. Swata and Dummy are both in the red. And Dummy's kind of brought this back. I'm waiting for that offense. That's what I was talking about, but barely misses it. Does it too late. But that's what I'm talking about. That sword side signature can catch anyone off guard if done properly. Oh, it's soaking out an arm combo, man. My lord.
That's optimal, absolutely optimal situation. Completely just spiking out Dummy's first stock. Despite all of that, we're a minute and a half in and we've lost 1 stock so far, man. Swata onto this sword, looking to get any kind of value possible. Lantisair going deep off the side here. Finds the recovery back to the stage and chase dodges through Dummy, goes for the ground pound. Dealer ground pound once again. Twice!
Is he gonna get a third time? I want to see it. I don't know, but right now, Swata trying to go in for these gauntlet combos. The gauntlets are messing with Dummy right now. And we're definitely seeing it in the gameplay. Swata has already knocked Dummy into the red of their second stock. Goes in with that sword. And I think if you're Dummy, you gotta be like, okay, well, I need to get a knockout option, maybe pick up a weapon. I think that's what they were thinking. But Swata is just trying to get this knockout option. But Dummy with the guitar recovery does not knock out, even though it looked like it should have.
I think it's because he clipped the very last little bit of that recovery. If the full recovery hit, I think it definitely is going to have damage to knock out. But now Swata looking for a very knockout option onto Dummy's second stock. Doesn't find anything off the side there with the unarmed Dummy. Still on those guitars. Swata on that sword. A much more efficient weapon for KOing, and a D-Light recovery will secure it. 2 stocks up for Swata in game number 2 here. And sticking with that sword for Dummy's final stop.
Yeah, and I really have to say that gauntlet was what got Dummy that low. So I think sword is kind of a gift to Dummy right now. With Swata being on that sword at the moment and not being on that gauntlet, it's going to allow for Dummy to have a lot more options against Swata and have this edge guard control, but actually gives it up to allow for Swata to go ahead and come in and get this gauntlet sword. Oh! And Swata is now down to that second stock, but can Dummy knock some damage in this Swata here as he goes ahead and gets gauntlets?
Yeah, I think Swata is definitely playing the very standard game plan for Val, which is, you know, build damage with those gauntlets, find the knockout if you can, and if you're not feeling the knockout with gauntlets, you get the sword, but the side sig just about doesn't knock out onto this sword. Now D-Light recovery might be enough at this point, and Dummy really is on the back foot here. Swata looking so much more comfortable than game number 1. Tries for the D-Light recovery all the way up the top, but doesn't manage to find it. Dummy looking for any damage possible. The guitars are very good at building damage very quickly, and right now he's doing exactly that. The recovery comes out. Swata can't find any hits to land right now. Weapon though into the end light, not enough yet. Swata onto the gauntlets now, which have been doing a lot of good work against Dummy. Finds the end light, still not enough, not even close. But the Nair could find a dodge screen, but doesn't manage to catch Dummy. Fighting in neutral right now, but so close to losing this stock.
Yeah, but we got to really say this here. Dummy is starting to reach Swata a lot. So even if Dummy does get knocked out here, which he might based off the way that Swata's playing, we're still going to have Dummy adapting to Swata's Val. And there you go. Swata coming in with that nice Val recovery and now has a game to their name, but it's 1-1. What can Dummy do to really go against Swata? Do exactly what they did at the last stock that they had to knock Swata down to that low second stock, because that is where the power was. And I think if they could do that again, they can take game 3 100%.
Yeah, absolutely, man. I mean, we're not seeing a legend swap off Swata right here, so we are seeing a map change though over to Demon Island. But I mean, I think, yeah, it's going to be down to Dummy to try and just get more consistent reads like he was towards the end of that game too, and also just try and find a way around these gauntlets, because I think that's what's been doing the most work against Dummy right now for Swata.
Yeah, and I think I 100% agree with that. I think Swata realizes that, and I think as we go into this game, that's another thing Swata's going to be really pulling out of left field, but it depends on how Dummy really goes about with those guitars. I mean, his guitars popped off a little bit, and especially with having Azuri at that dark of a color on Demon Island, it's going to be hard to track, especially for Swata. And it's starting to land a lot more. Look at Swata's like tears coming out because of his character, just because they don't have any more options. Dummy's reading Swata pretty decently well. It's going a lot of back and forth, and that was a smart map choice by Dummy going over here because Swata likes to knock off that ceiling.
Yeah, definitely. And that's definitely something that's a very big strength for Val because, you know, the main knockout options for both of Val's weapons do rely on vertical KOs. So Demon Island is definitely a spot where Dummy is going to be thinking a bit more comfortable, especially with Asuri having some really good horizontal sigs and a pair of dunks on both weapons. Swata now looking for any knockout options. Do that recovery unarmed is actually going to be enough. Dummy was that damaged, and now Swata taking another small lead here, but definitely a lot less brutal than the start of last game.
Yeah, and W could have 100% got out of that combo if they just moved a little bit to the right. If they just held the right key while they got recovered. I don't think that would have been able to land, but as they say, that Dummy comes in with a guitar down signature with Azuri, knocking out Swata. That neutral signature coming in, that downlight coming into there, knocks Swata into the yellow, and weapon stars them a little bit, picking up those guitars. I think Dummy wants to have the sword option, the sword knockout option, if they can do so very shortly. But right now, Dummy with those guitars in the middle of the map, really controlling the platform so far. Swata's really having to approach Dummy a little bit, and you can see that now with those gauntlets. But I mean, to have stock lead for Dummy so far, what's going to happen here? I mean, I think they're really staying towards the middle of the map because of the map benefit to them.
Yeah, I think Dummy's starting to realize that Swata isn't going for that many dodge reads out of options on gauntlets. He's just sort of going straight into the optimal plays, and Dummy waking up and finding a lead over Swata. Delay recovery off the top, and now Swata full stock down below Dummy and onto that sword now, which could be, you know, a blessing for Swata here, as he's been playing mostly gauntlets this game. Maybe Dummy is sort of getting used to that gauntlets matchup and not having as much practice against that sword.
Yeah, and I don't know, man. I mean, I'm kind of stunned a little bit just because of how much a lead Dummy had, but that might go away depending on what Swata does here. He has to do a recovery, gets that sword combo. Dummy's still alive, gets recovered, but this map definitely is not in favor of Swata. Look at how far Dummy's getting knocked into the air. Oh, there you go. He says, correct. Gauntlet time. Let's make it even. It's one stock all, 4th minute in. What can happen here between these players?
Dude, Swata was so all over Dummy for that stock. Like, Dummy did not have any time to get value, but Swata is just struggling so much in this Gauntlets versus Guitars matchup. Doesn't manage to catch a punish on that dodge. Swata dodging down to avoid Dummy's recovery, but Dummy is really tacking on the damage of these Guitars, and Swata needs to get onto that sword right here for this matchup, but he did prime those Gauntlets, and maybe he's kicking himself for that right now. Finds the set into there, has Dummy off the side. Not going to commit to an edge guard here, going to give him the respect. Catches a dodge, finds the Sair, keeping Dummy on his toes. Ground pound connects. Second ground pound as well. Okay, onto the sword now. Definitely a lot more consistent for the KOs. Both players now in this red health on their final stocks. Down to the wire here, Dummy making up some stage control. Finds the read and the recovery off the dodge read. Dummy taking it with 8 damage total difference between these two players. They are so evenly matched, man.
And here's the thing, that was a neutralite into a re-neutralite, because Swata dashed more inwards, and that neutralite still landed into that recovery. That had so much, and with that second neutralite, gave Dummy the opportunity of getting that recovery knockout off that ceiling. That was huge for Dummy, and they're going back to Demon Island with Swata going with the Hattori. I think, I don't know, if I'm Swata, I definitely would have chosen that map, but we're going to game 4. And Dummy might have an opportunity of beating Swata 3-1, the PR1 EU player. And that would be absolutely huge for Dummy and Australia players in general.
It really would, and I think if you're pushing Swata all the way onto picking Hattori, that's a good sign. That means Swata really does not know what to do against your pick, and Dummy right now has Swata in the orange while being completely untouched on this first stock. I have not seen Swata's spear, so I do not know what to expect here, but we've seen a lot of Brawlhalla players swap to Hattori recently. Java is another good example of that, and that's a really nice bit of spear gameplay coming out of Swata, making the damage so quickly. The dare is so pinpoint and precise. Gets punished on that GC side sig, but he's made up the damage so quickly. And the dealer recovery off the top as well!
Yeah, and that just came down to Dummy being a little bit too aggressive. I mean, he was just trying to be like, hey, I'm going to get this early knockout on you on the ceiling while you're up there. But Swata had a really good comeback for it and was trying to bait them there. So right now, Dummy, it's an unarmed silent. Oh, Trish went for a grab, but side air lands like that. And Swata's unable to come back to that ledge. That control by Dummy off that in the air off that ledge is nuts.
Yeah, absolutely is, man. I mean, just that side air hitbox, that stings, man. That really stings. But Swata immediately onto the spear. Dummy, he's so quick on these guitars, and it's terrifying. It's actually like scary to watch with how brutal he can be. Double recovery. Swata struggling to land off the stage, gets caught by the end. Like if Dummy found that end sig, that would have been absolutely heartbreaking for Swata. But Swata needs to try and take us to a game 5. He wants to even. This is elimination bracket. This is, you know, a chance for PR1 EU to go down to an Australian player who's moved to Europe. I mean, that's insane to say out loud.
Absolutely, you would definitely, before this event, you would have never thought this. It would go to a game 4 with Dummy's up by 1 round. But as I say that, Swata, Dummy's able to come back to the ledge by a grounding cancel neutral signature. Comes in the neutral light. Picks up the guitars, so Swata does not get a weapon. I see a down signature coming in. I see a weapon starve instead, and that sword combo does not knock out. And this is where the map is against Dummy here. That knockout would have happened on any other map. But Dummy really trying to get the sword side here. Swata knows this, but that sword combo comes in. Swata tried landing a weapon throw, but Dummy's gameplay just jumped over it. He already knew Swata was going to throw that weapon. And is so close. It's just too close for comfort right now. It really is.
Dummy is moving so quickly. He's actually dancing between going in against Swata. I mean, he's definitely feeling confident right here. Swata, meanwhile, is very on the back foot. Even if he wins this game, he has to win another one. Weapon throw though to confirm that KO. And now, what is Swata gonna style for? Are we gonna be seeing a sword? Are we gonna be seeing a spear? We are gonna be seeing a spear, and maybe that is the play because Dummy hasn't had the time to adapt to the spear. It is fresh in this set, and I mean, despite that, Dummy's doing a really good job at punishing Swata's options.
Yeah, but I think Swata's spear is slower than Swata's sword. I think Swata realized that, and Dummy is taking advantage of Swata being off that ledge. Tries to get some type of combo. Nice weapon throw movements coming in for Swata, but if he misses one of them, he's done. If he really misses one of them, throws that weapon away like he is, I think Dummy might have an opportunity here. He's gonna try to weapon star Swata. Swata's now a little bit stressed. Dummy realizes it, tries to punish it. It's so close. We're round 4. Is Swata gonna take it to game 5? Dummy, right now, trying to get the side air, man. It's close.
The adrenaline has to be pumping for Swata right here. Literally everything banks on this, whether or not he stays in the tournament. It's just so neck and neck. Swata has Dummy disarmed off the side, finds the nair, weapon stab onto the spear, gets punished to the side, Sigma isn't damaged enough for that to KO yet. What's the dash jump there, keeping Dummy off a weapon. Dummy has the guitars in hand. This is his weapon of choice right here. Swata gets the spear back, but he knows that if he recovers wrong, it's over for him, gets hit by the stair. Swata is still living, but Dummy has the stage control. Swata's giving him so much respect. Grabs the sword from under Dummy, finds the side, Dummy's disarmed.
Yeah.
Goes to the stair, Dummy weaves under it. A do-not recovery right now by either player could be it for this game. And right now, Dummy finds it, and that's going to do it. Dummy 3-1 Swata in Swata's own region, man. What on earth?
Let's go! Dummy beating Swata 3-1 on European servers. What? That's huge! That was not even a game 5. That was a 3-1. Congrats to Dummy, making a name for themselves in the European scene, but also showing that Australia is a powerhouse in Brawlhalla, ladies and gentlemen. My goodness, that was amazing.
That was such a great set, dude. There was so much going on every single moment. The way the players were approaching